see if he can follow what Volchko did yesterday. Let's talk about the Boston College side of things. Josiah Ragsdale reached base twice once again yesterday. He continues to be a consistent presence in the Eagles order.
Yeah, that's the perfect way to describe him. Even if the bat's not hot, he's getting on base, and for a team that, you know, frankly really needs an infusion of offense, maybe a spark plug, he's usually the guy you look at.
So this second game of this series between Boston College and Stanford, as we said, really great day in the 80s. Not a ton of wind, a little bit of wind to deal with today, a sunny day, and expected to see another great baseball game after what we saw yesterday, a 2-0 win for Stanford. Let's take a look at the lineup for Stanford. A little flip at the top. Haskins and McDonald flip spots. So Haskins leads off today. Then Marsh, Nadai, Sasaki, Becerra again. J.J. Moran is the designated hitter today. Charlie Somm back behind the plate. And then how about Ethan Hott? 3 hits yesterday, including a double and a key double. And he was involved in a bunch of spots for Stanford in that game yesterday, and they will face Brady Miller for Boston College, who really, outside of one outing against Louisville, has really been spectacular through the course of his season.
Yeah, it's an under-the-radar, outstanding freshman season for Miller. You see what he did last time against Miami, 7 scoreless. That was at Fenway Park. He has not given up a run in either of his last 2 outings, which spanned 12 innings. And yeah, you mentioned it. He had one really poor outing against Louisville on April 4th, where he gave up 9 runs in an inning and a third. Other than literally that one outing, he has a 2.58 ERA this season. So he's looking to have success similar to A.J. Colarusso against this Stanford lineup yesterday. Colarusso a lefty, Miller a lefty. This is the defense behind him. Samini back at second base with Esteban Garcia getting the start. Kyle Wolf is back in the lineup for BC as the DH today.
Adam Magpot goes back to the outfield for Boston College. Ragsdale and Toomey along with him. So it is Miller to start against Trevor Haskins. Nothing and 1 the count from Miller, and the pitch home is swung and a missed to Haskins. We'll cycle through this, but the reason I was pausing there for a second, we're told that Stanford is going to have a new starting pitcher. So we will sort that out as we go through. Ty Huber, the senior, is going to start this game for Stanford. Matt Scott was obviously warming up. Something must have happened. So Huber is warming up in the bullpen right now. So we'll focus on that in a moment, but for now, it's Trevor Haskins, the third baseman, who ended up with 3 hits yesterday, including an RBI in the 3rd inning. Miller's 1-2 off the end of the bat to second base, and there's 1 away.
Well, you saw in the graphic, it's a lot of sinkers from Miller, and you know, David Esker probably happy his team got the win yesterday, but the offense was a little stuck in the mud, if you will. Just 2 runs. Colarusso was really outstanding, so you're happy to get the W, but you'd like to see a little more production from his starting 9 today. It is interesting when you see back-to-back left-handed starters and things didn't go great yesterday. Do you have an adjustment in store today?
First pitch swinging, Court McDonald waves through, strike 1 on a breaking ball from Miller. Well, McDonald, who missed 21 games earlier this season from February 21st to March 29th, and then struggled out of the gate, but he had been hitting well recently. Came into the series 8 for his last 18, did take an 0 for 5 yesterday. 1 ball and 1 strike from Miller. As you said, started Sunday last week against Miami, and even at this late stage of the season, working his way into a role that might see him be a consistent starter the rest of the way on the weekend. With the shift on now, 1-2 is grounded foul up along first. So 1-2 again on Court McDonald, Arlington, Texas native. Ahead of Tatum Marsh. 1-2 again. Hit hard and foul up the first base side. Another breaking ball that time from Miller, who can really work in a lot of pitches. Has fastball, slider, cutter, changeup. Feels comfortable with kind of some offshoots of those pitches as well. It's one of the things that Ryan Forrest told us before the season about Miller is this is line right to first and Garcia is there. But, you know, guy comes in saying, oh, I can throw this and this and this and this and this, and usually, you know, maybe a couple of them are good and a bunch of them are not, but really everything he threw kind of impressed this Boston College staff.
Well, this is pitching to the shift. As you see Garcia and Samini behind him, BC was shifted to the pull side for McDonald, and everything was in there. And that was a sinking fastball that might have even been off the plate in. And all McDonald could do was, even though he hit it hard, just pull it right into the shift.
And now Tatum Marsh takes outside from Miller, 1-0 on Marsh, who came into the weekend 5th in the ACC in average. He's at .361 after yesterday's game. 48 hits, 9 doubles, 2 triples, and 3 homers for the impressive freshman. 2 balls and no strikes from Miller.
But to your point on Miller, it's a lot of pitchability, especially for a guy this young.
And even getting more comfortable as the year has gone on.
Yeah, he has a really good idea what he's doing out there, and it's been honestly just tons of fun to watch him get better and better every single time he's taken the mound.
2 balls and a strike to Marsh, and that's fouled back to the screen. The count 2-2. Just missed. A touch low with the fastball to make it 3-2.
His command, though, is really good early in this game. It seems like he's putting everything right where he wants it.
Line to left and deep, and that ball to the wall is off the base of a wall, and a fly for Marsh. And he's on second base with a 2-out double. Hit hard and got out there quick. And Marsh is on second base with 2 away.
Yeah, you know, that's a spot where it's 3-2. Nobody on, 2 out. Challenge fastball, pretty much center cut. And, well, you can see why Tatum Marsh is in the upper echelon of the league in batting. Absolutely smoked that. But, you know, if you're BC, okay, it's a 2-out double. No big deal. Just work against the cleanup hitter Nadai now, and Miller will try and put up a 0 here in the first.
Jimmy Nadai, the second baseman, swings and hits one to right center on the first pitch. Ragsdale over, as is Toomey. It's Jack Toomey, the right fielder, who makes the catch and ends the inning. So Miller indeed does strand the 2-out double on second base. And through a half inning in Brighton, no score, Stanford of Boston College. So we go to the bottom of the first inning, and as we told you, a change here for Stanford. Their scheduled starter, Matt Scott, apparently got hurt in the bullpen, we're told. So they will have to basically just turn this into a bullpen game. Ty Huber will get the ball first. This is his first start of the season. And he basically just started warming up. We saw the Stanford pitching coach run out while both head coaches were meeting with the umpires before the game. So it's that recently that they had to make this change. So obviously hope everything's okay with Scott, but all we know for now is it's Ty Huber who gets the ball today for Stanford, and that obviously changes things now for a Cardinal team that, you know, even though their staff had struggled, there was a lot of really good potential with their staff. The bullpen is what has struggled here recently for the Cardinals. So how that plays out today certainly will become interesting to watch as Adam Magpok leads off for Boston College.
And even though this is Huber's first start of the year, he has made 13 starts in his career, so not brand new to him. Longest he's gone in an outing this year is 3 innings, but that was back in February against Washington. So you're probably looking at 6 to 9 outs at best here if you're Stanford.
Yeah, most of his starts came back in 2022 for Huber in his first season on the farm. Magpok goes after the first pitch and flies one foul out to left field and out of play. He did not throw last year. This year, as you said, that start against Washington, that game against Washington, I should say, on February 23rd is also his season high in pitches at 48. He's thrown over 40 pitches twice. Other than that, it's usually, in the 30s or even less. Threw twice last week against Wake Forest out of the bullpen. So often used reliever here for Stanford. 0-1 to Adam Magpok is a breaking ball that missed outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
The thing that's kind of interesting is that, as you said, he began his career as a starter, ended up getting hurt and missing all of last year, and this year a full-time reliever until today. But he still works out of the full windup, which you don't really see from relievers, especially nowadays. You'll see a lot of starters who don't even work out of the windup.
I know, but he said that himself.
2-1 to Magpok is fouled back, and the count is 2-2. You almost have to think of this, though, as a relief outing because, it's not like he was stretching in the outfield and going through a full routine you might go through as a starter. It just started warming up in the top of the first inning and now pitching here in the bottom. Magpok grounds it foul. Still 2-2 on Adam Magpok in the leadoff spot for the second game in a row for Boston College. He was 0 for 4 in yesterday's game, did reach on the fielder's choice.
Yeah, as much as it's kind of a jarring adjustment to change your starting pitcher this late for Stanford, you're right. Huber had kind of the same notice he would normally have that he would be coming in a game.
2-2. Breaking ball again, and Magpok doing a nice job to waste away some pitches.
Magpok's hit it in a lot of spots in the order this year, and you mentioned back in the leadoff spot today, he does generally profile as a leadoff hitter with the way he gets on base and steals bases. I just think he makes the most sense in this spot.
2-2 on the ground at first for Rintaro Sasaki, who has out number 1. Let's take a look at the whole Boston College lineup today with Magpok leading off, as we talked about. Then, we've seen Roach in the leadoff spot. He's batting second today. We've seen Ragsdale there as well. He hits third. Talked about his 18-game base streak off the top. Gunnar Johnson hits fourth once again today. Jack Toomey's the right fielder, and Kyle Wolf back in the lineup today, the DH. Esteban Garcia gets a start at first base for BC. He's pinch hit over the last few weeks. Then Samini back at second base, and Sam McNulty bats ninth. Roach, the Eagles' third baseman, takes strike 1 on the inner half. Patrick at 289 this year for Boston College. 7 doubles, 3 home runs. He's driven in 31 runs. He's also walked 28 times and been hit 12 times. Slider away, 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1. Fastball missed off the outside. So 2 balls and 1 strike on Roach.
Another reason why I think Magpok makes a lot of sense in the leadoff spot is not only for him, but Roach, Ragsdale, other guys who have hit in that spot, as you mentioned.
To the left side. Out from shortstop is Becerra. And there's 2 away.
Those guys can be big-time run producers for you. And when they're hitting first, which is, other than the first inning, after the 8 and 9 hitters, sometimes there just aren't enough runners on base for them to drive in runs. So if you take your best on-base guy in Magpok and put him in front of players that are capable of driving in runs, that seems like at least a more natural lineup construction.
Ragsdale now from the left side. That hit him off the foot, and Ragsdale is on first base with 2 outs. Just going back to the Stanford bullpen conversation, and again, we know Huber won't count technically as the bullpen today, but over 16 2/3 innings out of the bullpen against Wake Forest in their last ACC series last weekend, Stanford bullpen pitched to an 11.88 ERA. And most of that was about the walks. 23 walks by the bullpen in 3 games against Wake. They had been so dominant to start the season, but it's just been a bit of a struggle recently, which is part of why Keenan's outing yesterday was so crucial to see for the Cardinal. Gunnar Johnson now from the right side with Ragsdale on first, and strike 1 piped in at 90 miles an hour. Gunnar Johnson, the Eagles catcher, 218, his 27th game of the year. 12 for 55 at the plate with 2 doubles and 2 home runs. Check on Ragsdale, was not a good throw to first base. Had Josiah freeze for kind of a half beat before he got back. Another check over at first base.
We saw a couple guys on this year's team moving up the ranks of single-season stolen bases here at BC. The Eagles were not really able to get into their stolen base game like they liked to yesterday because they just didn't have enough base runners.
Runner goes, throw to second is not in time. Nadi may very well ask for a review. Looks like they will not ask for one. So Ragsdale is on second base with the stolen base, his 22nd of the year.
Not the best jump in the world, but a really good slide to the outside of the base. And yeah, I'm with you. I'm pretty surprised Stanford didn't want that looked at.
Breaking ball, cut on and missed for strike 3. So no matter, as Ty Huber ends up as the emergency starter in this game, does a nice job in the first.
Rintaro Sasaki, Stanford University. I'm from Iwate of Japan. I play for my dad at Hanamaki Higashi High School. I set a Japanese high school record for career home runs. I came to Stanford to play Omaha.
And Rintaro Sasaki will lead off for Stanford as we go to the second inning. Freshman phenom who's had a interesting year that started off really well, then kind of went through a fairly significant slump in the middle of the season and has started to come out of it, it's felt like, over the last 7 games or so. Did go 0 for 4 yesterday with 3 strikeouts. But, you know, something that David Esker said before the season, I think just continues to stand out with Sasaki, who is called for a strike on appeal. You know, he's the first person really that's ever done this, of a significant Japanese prospect electing to come to college in America rather than going into the Japanese professional leagues. As guys like Shohei Ohtani, who played for Rintaro's father at the same high school, and so many others. And, you know, as David Esker said, we've had All-Americans, we've had some of the best players to ever play at Stanford who, you know, did not have these, you know, incredible must-see freshman years. It's an adjustment, and it takes time, especially for someone coming over to a new country and taking classes in a second language.
Well, putting aside everything you just said, which is really important to point out, even if he was, you know, from the U.S., I cannot remember a kid coming into college who was as highly touted as Sasaki in this sport. So there was just so much pressure on him. I mean, people thought he was going to come to college as a freshman and be Babe Ruth. It just doesn't work that way. And to be honest, 95% of freshmen in America would take a 748 OPS playing in the ACC.
Yes!
But because Sasaki was profiled the way he was,
right,
I mean, it was honestly a little unfair to him.
Has driven in 31 runs this year, as you talked about. 4 doubles, 5 home runs, hitting .267. And that's hit a long way to right center field. Ragsdale is back, as is Toomey, and that bounces off the wall. So Sasaki is into second base with his 5th double of the year.
Second extra base hit for Stanford already against Miller. And it was on a 3-ball count once again. It's a sinker that didn't have a lot of movement, stayed center cut, and Sasaki able to drive it into that gap. The last thing I'd say about, the story with him, you saw the clip coming into the inning. When he was asked, why did you go to Stanford? He didn't say to play in the major leagues. He didn't say to be a first-round pick. He didn't say anything about himself. He said, I want to play in Omaha.
Timo Becerra now swings at the first pitch and skies it to center field with Ragsdale coming in to make the play. And Magpok is trying to dummy that he was making the catch out there to confuse Sasaki, which was fun to see, but I think it was a pretty safe to believe that Sasaki was not going anywhere.
This is the Boston College outfield version of synchronized swimming.
There's always something going on when Adam Magpok's involved.
I mean, there's no way he was tagged in there, so there was not a lot of benefit to that, but it did give us all a laugh.
J.J. Moran now, the designated hitter, takes outside. His 4th start of the year, 12th game. He's 3 for 18 at the plate with a double and an RBI. First year from San Diego. No scores we play here. Top of the 2nd inning, Cardinal and Eagles, and that misses high from Miller, and it's 2-0 on Moran. Called a strike in the outer half. So we have seen Miller fall behind in a couple of 2-ball counts so far. Two-one. Oh, that's a good breaking ball for strike 2.
When you can throw pitches like this in fastball counts, that is what makes you successful.
So 2 balls, 2 strikes on J.J. Moran. Struck him out. Went back to a similar off-speed pitch, and Brady Miller has his first strikeout.
Yeah, that pitch looked extremely similar to the previous one. Pretty much in the same spot. Actually didn't move all that much, but Moran swings through it. And now Miller is an out away from working around to double for the 2nd inning in a row.
So Charlie Somm now, the catcher, had a key double and an RBI in the 9th inning yesterday, right down the 3rd base line to extend it to a 2-0 Stanford lead. A 1-for-4 day. Veteran catcher, 221 batting average, OPS around 700. Miller missed outside, 2-0. Ragsdale coming in and going back. Samini can't make the catch, and Stanford leads. It was into no man's land in right center field. Samini had the best chance at it. Ragsdale did not have a great jump, maybe could not have gotten there anyway. And Samini trying an over-the-shoulder catch. It falls in. Sasaki scores, running with 2 outs, and it's 1-0 Stanford.
That was about as off the end of the bat as off the end of the bat goes, and Ragsdale did get a good read. He was just too deep to have any chance, and Samini's best Willie Mays attempt goes by the wayside, and it's a pretty soft RBI single to put Stanford ahead. 2nd day in a row. It's an early lead for the Cardinal.
So Charlie Somm, and it's another 2-out run for Stanford as well. This has been a spot where they have succeeded this year Their first run yesterday was with 2 outs as well. Cardinal hitting nearly 300 with 2 outs this season coming into the weekend, and now 109 2-out RBIs. McNulty on the run, retires Ethan Hawk, and ends the top of the second inning. But not before the Cardinal get on the board for the first time on the RBI by Charlie Somm. 1-0 Stanford after 1.5. One 1-0 lead for Stanford over Boston College. Both of these teams trying to climb up the ACC with the ACC tournament just a couple of weeks away. Here's where Boston and Stanford sit in the conference picture. You can see Stanford, who was picked 8th in the preseason poll. Boston College was picked in the final spot. Certainly, you knew there was going to be an adjustment there for Stanford. There's no doubt. This is their 4th trip east. They're going to make 5 when they play NC State in a couple of weeks and then stay in North Carolina for the ACC tournament. But, you knew it was going to be some level of an adjustment. Still certainly a little bit of surprise the year that, the record that Stanford's had in the conference.
I think when you look at that entire graphic, what is the most interesting to me is nobody's having this out-of-this-world great year. Usually there's one team, and it hasn't really happened this year. I mean, Florida State and Clemson are really, really good, but they're not, 18-2 in the league or something like that. And then nobody's that bad. Usually there's a team that only wins 4 or 5 games, and that hasn't happened either.
Flipped into the mid of the catcher Somm by Jack Toomey. And, of course, what that leads to is in an ACC tournament that everyone's going to make and is going to be single elimination, anything could happen.
Yeah.
1-2. Check swing. Toomey did not go for it on a breaking ball. So 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And I think there might actually, for teams that are, set as maybe regional hosts going into the ACC tournament, there might be less emphasis on the tournament now that.
Chopper to third base for Haskins. And they just get Toomey for out number 1.
In the past, you could go down there and go 0-2. As you see, Todd entered Donato 1 win away from 500 in his career between Wofford and BC. But you could go down there and go 0-2 and really hurt your NCAA tournament stock, whether that was going from being a national seed to just a regional host or a regional host to a 2-seed or whatever. But now that the most you can do is lose 1 game, there might be teams that, don't want to overtax themselves before the NCAA tournament by playing 4 days in a row in a conference tournament.
Back to the screen by Wolf. Teams 9 through 16 will play on day 1. Then teams 5 through 8 will get 1 bye. Teams 1 through 4 will get the double bye. So you see Wolf back in the order today for Boston College after sitting yesterday. 253 average. And he takes a pitch that misses, 1 ball and 1 strike. 741 OPS for Kyle this year in his junior season. Spent most of the year as the Eagles' designated hitter. One from Ty Huber. His grounded foul. Once again, if you're just joining us, Matt Scott was scheduled to start this game for Stanford, was warming up into the bullpen and was scratched just minutes before this game was scheduled to begin. So Huber warmed up in the top of the first inning and ends up being the one who's called upon as we start here. Breaking ball, Wolf grounds it foul. It's still 1-2 on Kyle Wolf. The 1-2 slider to first. Sasaki's the only guy over there and is in perfect position for out number 2.
So a real solid start for Huber, but I actually really like that piece of hitting by Wolf with 2 strikes. Just tries to shoot it to the right side, hit it real hard, just as you said, right where Sasaki was standing.
So now Esteban Garcia bats, 254. This is 14th start of the year, 16 for 63 at the plate with 4 doubles. Came in as a pinch hitter yesterday, grounded to second, and then singled in the 9th, keeping his spot as the DH. We saw him play first base a little bit initially, right when Nick Wang got hurt. And then Boston College sort of adjusted. We saw Colin Larson play a little bit, which moved Magpok to the infield and Samini to first. But they like Garcia's pop in his bat as a left-handed hitter.
I don't think it's overly complicated. I think Todd Donato at this point is just looking for a lineup that's going to score him runs. And Garcia seems like the best option to be in there to do that because of his ability to hit one out of the ballpark.
2 balls and a strike from Ty Huber. Three balls and 1 strike. Eagles had a 2-out base runner in the first inning when Ragsdale was hit by a pitch. Trying to find another one here in the second, down 1-0. Garcia under the glove of Huber and into center. First hit of the game for BC is a 2-out single by Esteban Garcia.
Got himself into a good hitter's count, 3-1, and then got a fastball he could handle. Hits it right back where it came from.
So now Vince Samini back at second base today, digs in the 8th hole in the order. With Garcia on first base, 2 outs. And the first pitch home to Samini is in for a strike. Vince is at 266, 6th-year player for Boston College. 7 doubles, a triple, 3 home runs, driven home 27, walked 23 times. Check over on Garcia. Garcia is 4 for 5 stealing bases for Boston College. Anyone, no matter who it is on BC, is certainly at least a threat to go.
That's obviously the opposite of their opponent this weekend in Stanford, where almost nobody is a threat to go. There have only been 4 teams in America so far this year that have stolen fewer bases than Stanford. They've stolen 16.
Runner goes and stops. Pitch is grounded under the glove of Sasaki and into right field. Garcia trying to go first to third. The throw, the tag is right there. Excellent throw by Tatum Marsh. And he eliminates Garcia at third base. Looks like Todd Donato is going to ask for a review. Either way, what a throw from Tatum Marsh.
Well, the reason that all happened was it was a bluff steal. So Garcia started and then stopped, and then he was a little slow getting going again. Thought he was going to stop at second, but seemed kind of predetermined to try to go first to third, and the throw certainly seemed to beat him. So the question is simply about the tag from Haskins. Garcia was pointing to his head immediately. I'm not sure if that was he tagged me on the head or just the kind of universal go look at it signal, but we'll see.
I mean, Todd Donato's standing right there. You know, the question in these situations, of course, is there a look that gives the umpires any kind of review that allows them to overturn it? Let's see. Garcia trying to go first to third, and the question was, did that tag not get on? I mean, Garcia's immediately looking. Does that? I mean, if that tag gets him on the left hand, then I think he's out. But the question is, does it? Number one, and number two, is there a look that you can see that it does not tag him on the left hand? What's odd about that is Garcia's Yeah, I mean, he very well may have missed that left hand. I'm just not sure they're going to get a look that allows them to believe with conclusive evidence they can overturn this.
Yeah, to be honest, if
I mean, you
first
can maybe piece it together from that look we just saw.
yeah, I do think though that even if the first contact was on sort of that bicep, he might have still been out. Oh, we'll see.
Been wrong before, but I'm going to guess they stick with this call. Oh, wow, they overturn it. So, really good challenge there by Boston College. Still a great throw by Marsh, but credit to Todd Donato that they find a look that allows them to overturn this call. Let's look at it one more time from the throw. And again, the throw beats him, as you talked about. But I think it was all about that left hand. Did that left hand make contact with the glove? And right there you see the answer was no. So then it's about the forearm. So what a chance. McNulty goes after the first pitch, but he fouls it off.
Worth noting that there are some camera angles for the umpires that we don't see.
So Sam McNulty goes after the first pitch. 2 on here for BC and 2 outs. And Sam swinging twice here is down 0-2.
The only reason I say that is if you're a Stanford fan, you might see the angles you just did and kind of wonder how you could say anything definitive, but there are some angles that the umpires have, and it did look clear the initial part of the tag was missed.
I mean, if you could take the one we showed you and piece it together with something over third, which they do have,
right,
as McNulty fouls it off, you might be able to pretty clearly see that it did not touch his hand, the glove there. So either way, still 0-2 on McNulty with Garcia on third. Samini on the throw, moved up to second on the play, so 2 in scoring position. But Huber trying to get out of it, still at 1-0 Stanford. 0-2. Chopper up the middle, charging Becerra. His throw is in time. And Stanford again strands a couple of 2-out runners. Eagles have left 3 in their first 2 turns at bat. Throwing a crucial inning to help Boston College win that series on the road at Wake.
Yeah, and it's funny because we've spent all year talking about how this Boston College staff does not really have true starters that they ask to go deep in games, but AJ Colaruso's been the Friday night guy of Friday night guys these last 2 weeks.
Couple of off-speed pitches in a row from Miller. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes on Trevor Haskins. Top of the order for Stanford. And a 1-0 Cardinal lead. Swing and a miss. Upstairs with a fastball and a second strikeout for Brady Miller.
Well, the reason that pitch was effective is because of what you said right before it. A couple of breaking balls in a row. It was change-up, 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 and then he elevates a fastball, and Haskins can't catch up to it. That's how you, sorry Eric, that's how you use 87 to blow it by a guy. It's the differential, it's not just the speed.
So now Court McDonald takes high. 1 ball and no strikes. McDonald lined out to first base his first time. And that is sprayed foul. So a ball and a strike on the left fielder for Stanford with 1 out in the top of the 3rd inning, a 1-0 game. After yesterday, we had just 2 total runs. Cardinals scoring in the 3rd and the 9th. Up the middle and through. So the 4th hit of the game for the Cardinal. Court McDonald singles with 1 out here in the 3rd.
Second time he's hit the ball hard today.
Now back to the Cardinal, number 4.
Remember, he lined out to Garcia at first last time. And this one just right back up the middle. It's a Stanford team that at times this year has struggled to score runs a little bit. And there are a couple reasons why. One of them is they're a pretty station-to-station team, right? They don't have much speed, as we talked about with the lack of stolen bases earlier. And also, basically half of their home runs come from two guys. Haskins has 12, and Nadai has 10. That's 22 of their 48. So it's sort of like if you're not able to take extra bases and you don't hit a lot of home runs, it forces you to string together a bunch of hits to score.
McDonald on first base, Tatum Marsh in a 1-ball, no strike count. And the pitch from Miller is high. Marsh, who had reached in 37 games in a row prior to yesterday's game when he went 0-4. Been a very nice freshman season for Marsh. To right center, with Ragsdale circling underneath for out number 2.
It's funny you brought up earlier how David Esker said, you know, we've had some guys that have turned out to be All-Americans and first-round picks that weren't great as freshmen. But these last couple years, he's had some unbelievable freshmen. You think about what Marsh has done this year, what Malcolm Moore did a couple years ago, Braden Montgomery, the last two guys turning out to be first-round picks. Obviously, Montgomery transferred to Texas A&M, but he has been blessed with some of the best freshmen college baseball has seen the last few years.
That is strike 1 to Jimmy Nadai, the second baseman. Yeah, of course, that conversation in terms of Sasaki and everything surrounding him. He is on deck with 2 outs, a runner on first base, 1-0 lead for the Cardinal. And a check over on first base and McDonald. Pitch from Miller is outside, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Let's go, Brady. Come on, Brady.
Stanford has done a decent job working Miller's pitch count up. This will be pitch number 47 as we play here in the third. 1-1 is fouled off, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
I mean, he's been pretty effective. It's just the 1 run on a bloop single in the second inning, but just doesn't seem like he has a lot of rhythm.
A couple of extra base hits against him, 4 hits total. Just the 1 run. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Miller drops down on his arm slot a bit, goes a 70-mile-an-hour breaking ball to get Jimmy Nadai. A 3rd strikeout for Brady Miller. Good little hook there. Still 1-0 Stanford. We go to the home third. Now Stanford holding a 1-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the third inning. That 1 run coming in the second inning for the Cardinal. Started with the double from Rintaro Sasaki to lead off the second inning, driven out to right center field. And with him on second base, after Brady Miller got the next 2 batters, but Charlie Som finds an open area. Samini can't make the play, and Sasaki scores the game's lone run so far. It's the top of the order for Boston College to start here in the bottom of the third. Adam Magpok digs in. Ty Huber, his 3rd inning of work in this emergency start for Stanford after Matt Scott was scratched just minutes before this game started. And Huber misses high, 1 ball and no strikes. He's done a nice job. Allowed 2 hits in the second inning, hit a batter in the first, but all the base runners have been with 2 outs so far. And Magpok grounds it foul, 1-1.
Remember, in Magpok's first at-bat, Huber was really attacking him down and in, and there were a number of foul balls just like that, kind of yanked towards the Stanford dugout. He was not allowing Magpok to get his hands extended at all.
1-1. And that missed down, 2 balls and a strike. Game 2 of this 3-game weekend series between Stanford and Boston College. First ever meeting between these two teams in baseball. 3 balls and a strike. Stanford winning the first meeting ever yesterday, 2-0 in game 1. That is outside. So Magpok works the leadoff walk. 2 good at-bats, though, that he's put together against Ty Huber.
Yeah, he always does, and that's his team leading 32nd walk of the year, and now the guy who has 25 stolen bases this year is, on with nobody out. That's the vision when you put him at the top of your lineup.
So Patrick Roach now. See, Boston College, 113 stolen bases, has already tied the program record. Still with a couple weeks to go in the season. They are second in the ACC behind Louisville. Those 2 teams have been the top 2 teams in stolen bases pretty much all year.
I think they're going to break the record.
I think that's fair. Stanford probably will not break their school record. Roach inside out swing foul. Magpok on his own has 9 more stolen bases than the whole Stanford team this year. Runner goes and stops, and that hits Roach. 13th time this year Patrick Roach has been hit by a pitch. And here comes David Esker. And this is so interesting here. He told his whole infield and told his catcher, I don't even need you to come out here. I just want to have a chat with my pitcher.
Yeah, and I think that was a case where Magpok's activity over at first base kind of bothered Huber, and you could see David Esker point over where, Magpok would have been taking his lead. But as we told you at the start of the show, Huber's only gone 3 innings once this year, and this is his 2nd time through the order. Interesting decision now for Todd Interdonato in a series that's been low scoring in a game that's 1-0. You have arguably your best hitter at the plate, but this is a spot that Boston College, bunts 9 times out of 10, so we'll see.
Oh, interesting meeting there on the mound. And now let's see what happens. Ragsdale, the batter, does square, gets the bunt down. Huber fields, his play is to first, and he makes it there. So Ragsdale completes the sacrifice. 2nd and 3rd and 1 out for Boston College. And Johnson and Toomey will have the task of getting those runs in. Johnson struck out his first time with a runner on second base. And a slider is swung on and missed for strike 1.
It was that exact pitch that Huber got Johnson on his first time. Having a little bit of a tough time seeing it.
Went back to it, too far outside that time. Good speed on the bases for Boston College. Magpock at third, Roach at second. 1-1 to Johnson. 3 sliders in a row, grounded to third. Magpock breaking home. He does score. The throw pulls Sasaki off the base, and Roach hustling home, and he scores, and BC leads.
I mean, that is the way Todd Interdonato wants his team to play, to a T. First and second, nobody out. You get a sack bunt, and then a ball that goes 60 feet down the line produces 2 runs. Now, clearly Haskins was looking to see whether he had a chance to throw Garcia out at home, which caused a little bit of an inaccurate throw to first. It was a good play by Sasaki, not only to pick it, but also to hold the bag. But because he was so focused on those 2 things, he wasn't focused on the secondary runner and made a wild throw, and BC gets 2 runs on a ball that barely went anywhere. And by the way, credit to Johnson for putting that ball in play.
Right, and if that throw is on the money to first base, it's probably easier for Sasaki as well to come back home with that throw. But there's your old 5-3 ground out and 2 RBIs for Johnson. And the Eagles have a 2-1 lead. And Jack Toomey now bats with no one on and 2 outs in the inning.
I think that's the first time I've ever written 2-run 5-3 in my book.
Toomey skies one on the infield. Charlie Somm, the catcher, in foul ground. Oh boy, a lot of wind, and then Somm, went hard into the wall as the wind is blowing in from right center field, and he got really close to that sidewall and made an awkward collision with it. Just have to hope he is okay.
Hello. Yes, I
It
can go
is
find it
padded
if
there,
you'd
but
like.
even so, I mean, he got so close to that wall and then just had to,
Should I ask Alfred
that
to go?
last little jolt of wind pushing that ball towards the stands as well.
Okay,
Just
hang
an
on,
awkward position down in that area.
Right on.
Yeah, it really was awkward, and it's the left knee they're looking at. Sometimes, you're playing in a new ballpark. There's not a ton of foul ground here behind the plate, and it actually looked like his knees kind of got tucked under him.
And it looks like that's what they're stretching out. So you just hope that everything is okay with the veteran catcher for Stanford.
It's unfortunately turning into a real rough start to the day. For Stanford, your starting pitcher got scratched before the game started, and then another really, really valuable member of your squad in Somm, obviously in quite a bit of pain here.
This is probably the point where he's trying to stay in this game, but unfortunately may not be able to. We do have him up now, thankfully. Just one of the, I mean, the way you would describe it more than anything is just awkward is the word you'd say. And I mean, he's doing everything he can to try to work through it, continue on here on this Saturday afternoon in Brighton.
And whether he stays in the game or not, based on the way this initially looked, everything he's doing right now is a major positive sign.
Yep. Looks like he's going to try.
I'd love to see that from Todd Interdonato, making sure he's okay.
So a long break there as well. As you'll probably see Ty Huber throw a couple of pitches to Som to make sure he is all right. It ends up being just a eventful strike. Obviously, the whole other part of this is as a catcher and being crouched down consistently, which was kind of the awkward position that he was in. You know, there's no one on base right now, obviously, but
Yeah, if you're Stanford right now, I mean, it would really behoove you for Huber to get this out pretty quickly and then maybe reassess in the dugout.
yeah. So he's gonna stay in this game. 2 balls and 1 strike, the count on Toomey as we continue. With Boston College now holding a 2-1 lead here in this bottom of the 3rd inning with 2 runs in on the aggressive base running by Magpok and more significantly Roach, the second runner. 2-1 as a breaking ball swung on and missed. So it's 2 balls and 2 strikes on Jack Toomey. That's too far out. Toomey with a good take.
You'd have to think Huber's pretty close to the end of his line here.
There has been action behind him, not this moment. 3 balls, 2 strikes, and the pitch is a breaking ball into center. Ethan Hott comes in, makes the catch, and ends the inning. But Boston College finds 2 runs. The ground ball by Gunnar Johnson. 2 runs come in, and the Eagles lead after 3 in that inning. And now Rintaro Sasaki will lead off for Stanford in the top of the 4th, now trailing by a run. Brady Miller has thrown 48 pitches so far, just the 1 run allowed on 4 hits. One of those, of course, was Sasaki, who doubled to lead off in the 2nd. BC will put 3 on the right side immediately against Sasaki. They normally wait until there's 2 outs, and that's out to left field for Magpok, who has out number 1.
Well, that ball had 40 feet of slice on it, unless the wind is a lot harder than the flag's making it look.
The wind certainly helping that direction, but that was quite a bit of slice as well, as you said.
You know, Sasaki's one of those guys that you have to make sure you watch batting practice, and I was really impressed with his opposite field power during BP today.
The high school schedule in Japan is different than America, so he was able to come over last spring and be a part of the Stanford team. He didn't play. He could have, but he didn't play. But he practiced, took BP, was with the team, trying to work on that adjustment process before starting, obviously, in the fall for Stanford and then this year.
Yeah, and he also played college summer ball in the States, so it's not like he showed up to campus in August and then was playing games in February.
Becerra, another ground ball, and again foul. Whoa, good catch. Garcia, once it was ruled foul, took his eye off it. Roach continued to throw.
I heard somebody, I don't know if it was Roach, but somebody yelled Esty, which is the nickname for Esteban Garcia, and whoever that is, well, he owes him. Or maybe Roach owes him via Garcia.
Tapper fouled, so 1 ball and 2 strikes. Timo Becerra flied to center his first time. 2-1 Boston College lead. For now, for the record, there is no one throwing in the Stanford bullpen. This is down, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's a really big inning. I mean, Boston College able to plate 2 unorthodox runs there.
That's in for strike 3. A 4th strikeout for Brady Miller.
Well, Brady Miller doesn't have stuff that electrifies you, but because of the way he knows how to pitch, he's still able to rack up strikeouts. And that time, Goes right through the back door with his breaking ball to get Becerra. And now 1 out away from that all-important shutdown inning after his team scored its first 2 runs of the weekend.
J.J. Moran struck out his first time, and he waves over strike 1 with a fastball. Call the strike at the knees, and Miller way ahead, 0-2.
That rhythm, it didn't seem like he had first 3 innings. Seems like he's found it.
Down the line and right, foul ground, a long run for Toomey, and he can't get there.
You know, not to make too apt a comparison, but you saw how early Toomey went into the slide there. Obviously, it's a different part of the field, but that's the difference between knowing your surroundings, playing all your home games here, and Sam getting too close to the wall and unfortunately almost hurting himself last inning.
And obviously, there's no warning track, or there's no dirt warning track. It's
Right.
just all continuous turf. Oh, 2. Another fastball sprayed foul into the netting. Another 0-2. Goes to a high fastball this time, and Moran lays off.
Remember when he struck out Nadi to finish the 3rd inning? He went to that kind of drop down 70-mile-an-hour changeup. Wonder if he has Moran set up for that.
To left, Magpok back to the wall. It is gone. J.J. Moran with his first career home run, and Stanford ties the game at 2.
First career home run, only his 4th hit of the season. And the freshman ties this game at 2. And if you're BC, those are the ones that really hurt. 1-2 count with 2 outs, and that looked like a Giancarlo Stanton 3-quarter laser off the bat. Didn't even finish the swing, but it got out of here in a hurry. And Stanford has gotten up off the deck and tied this game.
Yeah, it was very well may not have been a strike, but a good swing by Moran. And it's a 2-2 game as BC cannot get the shutdown inning in the top of the 4th. So now Charlie Som, after was banged up in that last inning, batting for himself, and it's 2 balls and no strikes. The veteran catcher singled his last time and brought home a run on that blooper behind second that fell in. And this is on the ground to short. He's definitely moving gingerly still. Obviously going to hang in this game, but Som grounds out. That ends the inning. But Stanford ties the game on the home run by J.J. Moran. 2-2 as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Well, Ty Huber, the emergency starter, is going to at least start this bottom of the 4th inning. And remember, Matt Scott was scratched right before this game started. And Ty Huber will pitch into a 4th inning. There is action to the bullpen for Stanford, but what a job that Huber has done to allow Stanford to get to this point here in a 2-2 game in the home 4th.
Now batting for your Eagles, number 18, Kyle Wolf.
Kyle Wolf leads off for Boston College. And the first pitch from Huber is down. 1 ball and no strikes. Ryan Speciak was throwing a little bit in that 3rd inning. Did not throw in the Stanford batting half of the 4th inning, but is starting to throw once again right now. Kyle Wolf grounded to first base, his first time up today. It's pitch number 56 for Ty Huber, by far a season high. And again, you know, as you talked about, it's not like he hasn't started games before. It's not like he hasn't started games before at Stanford. But, you know, when you're coming off an injury last year, but more importantly, you haven't been stretched out to this point this year. It is still, you know, a little bit new and worth noting. 1-2. A breaking ball missed down, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
It's not quite to this extent, but it's pretty close. When you go through an injury that costs you a whole year, it's almost like everything you've done before that is sort of moot. It's kind of totally restarting from ground zero in terms of stamina.
2-2, swing and a miss. So another strikeout, is second for Huber. There's one away for Esteban Garcia. Now, it's also worth noting, since we saw David Esker go out to the mound and have that kind of one-on-one conversation, it's technically 4 in a row retired. Now, obviously, there's a sac bunt, there's a ground ball that scores 2 ground out that scores 2 runs in there, but you know, he has settled in, retired 4 in a row, and now Garcia, who singled his first time, takes down ball 1.
I think if you're Stanford, and based on the way this game started, if I had told you you'll be at 2-2 through 4 innings and Huber will give you those 4 innings, you would sign up for it every day.
Rolled over to Sasaki, can't handle it at first. And Garcia is aboard. Looked like kind of in between hop, and he was in between whether to keep the glove up or flip it down. It's right about belt high. He kept the glove up and couldn't secure it. He obviously knows it. First error of the game.
Pretty much all errors hurt, but when you have a guy who's pushing himself beyond where he's been from a pitch count perspective this year, anything that adds to that pitch count unnecessarily is really harmful.
5th error of the season for Sasaki, for a Stanford team that really has been pretty good defensively, top 30 in the country in fielding percentage coming into the weekend. Snap throw back behind the runner Garcia, and he is back in time as Samini takes ball 1. And singled as well, his first time up today. And Samini skies one to left. Court McDonald towards the line, into foul ground. He can't make the catch. It was a foul ball. So runners will have to go back, but
Watch how many times he's looking down.
yeah.
It was a little before that, actually, but it seemed like he was concerned that he was really close to the wall or something, and he obviously wasn't. Just the way he went after that ball was a little weird.
So 2 defensive miscues for Stanford. And that now gets away. So, I mean, you know, technically, this inning should now be over.
Yeah, you could give an error to McDonald there. They didn't, but yeah, I mean, that's a play that should have been made. And obviously Sasaki with the error. If you think about it, everything that Boston College has produced offensively in this game has been self-inflicted by Stanford. The 2 runners that scored in the 3rd inning got on via walk and hit by pitch, then a 2-run ground out to third base. And then this inning, an error and a wild pitch, and the go-ahead runs in scoring position.
And the drop as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
So Garcia on second, 3 balls and 1 strike to Samini in a 2-2 game here in the home 4th. And Huber fires, that's into left field. It hangs up enough. Garcia's way off second, and he is out. So after multiple Stanford miscues, the Eagles make a mistake on the bases, and it ends the inning. Todd Donato, it looks like, is going to ask for a review to see if Garcia got back to second base, but in a mistake-filled inning by both teams, this may have been crucial, and a ball that certainly looked like off the bat it was going to get down, but just hung up enough for McDonald to make the catch.
I think the rule of the day is anything Esteban Garcia does on the bases has to be reviewed.
Yeah, remember, he was the one that was called out going first to third, but then on review it was overturned. Let's see. It's hard to see exactly where the ball is right there, and that's going to be part of the question in this spot. They have a look that shows when the ball gets in the glove, with all of the cameras coming from the back of Nadi. It's just, the problem is it's really hard to tell when that ball gets in the glove. It might have to be that first base angle, just if there's a way to, you know, pull out, but, and perhaps there's, you know, the other first base cameras that are throughout the facility, again, that are the closed circuit cameras that we maybe don't have access to. Again, I mean, you can try to piece it together. As soon as the ball disappears, though, there's no way to know when it's in the glove of Nadi.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So, I mean, right there it's not in, right there it's right in. It's probably not in right there, but there's no way to know.
No.
So, you know, the question is,
well, putting aside Safer out here just for a second, I don't know if you felt the same way I did when that ball left Samini's bat, but I was baffled it held up long enough to be caught.
For sure.
So you can understand why Garcia broke towards third so aggressively.
Let's take another look from the first base side, and unfortunately it's just cut off. So again, you can't see. Yeah, unless they have a look from the closed circuit camera on top of the dugout, I don't think you can overturn it from the two things that we've shown you. But again, that doesn't mean that there isn't a look from the dugout that would tell you. But there has to be something that would tell you officially. We might be able to guess that that ball is not quite in the glove yet, but there's no indisputable evidence in the two shots that we've showed you. And let's see what the determination is from the umpires. And they are going to stick with the call. Garcia out at second base, so it is a double play, and the inning ends. Still 2-2, Stanford and BC.
It is going to make for a really, really fun week down in North Carolina. And based on the way the standings are looking right now, this could very well be a first-round game.
You gotta remember, the top 8 teams will get some level of a bye. Double bye for the top 4, and then teams 9 through 16 will play on that first day in the 16-team bracket. Miller fires outside to Ethan Hott, the center fielder, coming off his 3-hit day yesterday in the 9th spot in the order. Grounded foul towards the Boston College dugout. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Remember we showed you at the start of the show what Matt Scott's ACC averages were for his starts. And it was 4 1/3 innings. So that means Huber has essentially given Stanford that, and from a pitching staff usage perspective, other than obviously not being able to use Huber again this weekend, they have not been hurt at all by Scott not being able to go today. Obviously you're hurt by the fact that he got hurt, and you hope he's okay, but it's more just the job Huber has done getting them 12 outs, especially considering the game is tied.
Here's the 2-2, and that's lined right to first with Garcia there, so 1 away in the 5th inning. And again, it's a Stanford staff and a Stanford bullpen that just has struggled a little more than I think you would have expected, both in the short term and in the long term overall the year, especially in ACC play that we talked about. You know, that's why the outing for Huber is so important. That's why the outing for, you know, both Volchko and Keenan yesterday are so important. And of course, obviously it's a benefit when you only used one reliever yesterday, when you have to throw a semi-bullpen game today. That is outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Trevor Haskins 0 for 2 today after a 3-hit day in game 1.
Nice.
To right center. Ragsdale the call and the catch. And there's 2 away in the 5th inning. We mentioned what Ainan Keenan did yesterday. After coming in, after Volchko went 6, 7 strikeouts, he allowed just 1 hit in 3 outstanding innings of work out of the bullpen.
Yeah, he got 9 outs, 7 of them on strikeouts, and his fastball was just electric. Every single one of those swings and misses on the heater you see there was not only late, but pretty considerably late.
And that is outside to Court McDonald, the left fielder. On a line and down for a hit. So Court McDonald with his 2nd hit. This time it's a 2-out single here in the 5th.
You know, so much of the story of the game was the late starting pitching change for Stanford, so we probably haven't talked enough about the fact that this has been another very quality ACC start for Brady Miller. As you see, I believe that's Gavin Suarez warming up in the bullpen for Boston College, but you know, the one kind of issue that Miller has had today is with 2 outs. He's given up the RBI single in the 2nd inning. With 2 outs, he gave up the home run in the 4th. He had a chance for a really quick 1-2-3 inning here in the 5th, but gives up the single to McDonald.
Line foul off the netting on the right side. Check over on the base runner. We talk all the time about, you know, the idea of Boston College's pitching staff this year. We talked a little bit before about, you know, maybe the roles weren't going to be set in stone from day 1, you know, all the way through. And we even saw Colarusso as a single for Tatum Marsh puts runners on 1st and 2nd. With 2 outs here in the 5th. But it still produces this opportunity for someone to work their way into being secure in a role. And Colarusso's done that, and it feels like, you know, Brady Miller has done that as well. Todd Donato is going to emerge from the dugout, 1st and 2nd, 2 outs. And we'll see if they decide to make the move here. You have Nadai up now and Sasaki due next, with the right-hander Gavin Suarez, the freshman, throwing in the bullpen.
Nadai today is 0 for 2. Fly out to right and a strikeout, so Miller's looked good against him, but you know, you always get concerned about the 3rd time through an order for a starting pitcher. Stanford is 2 for 3 against Miller so far to start this 3rd trip through the order, but Todd Donato is going to allow his freshman the opportunity to get out of this jam.
He deals with Nadai, who's 0 for 2 today. First pitch, missed high upstairs with an off-speed pitch. It's 1 ball and no strikes.
Those are the little things, other than just giving up hits, that concern you a little bit. Change up missing high is not what you want.
And that one was well up. 1-0. Swing and a line drive to left. Puck's got it. And Miller through the fifth. He strands 2 base runners on. And this is still a 2-2 game through 4.5. So a 2-2 game to the bottom of the 5th inning, and Stanford will go to the bullpen here after Ty Uber does a pretty nice job, all things considered, with an emergency start. 4 innings, allowing just 2 hits and 2 runs, and now Ryan Speciak will come in for Stanford. We saw him throwing a little bit in the 3rd, warming up throughout the course of the 4th inning, and now he comes in here, the sophomore from California, in relief of Uber.
Speciak so far this year, 16 games in 1 start, 5.79 ERA in 18 2/3 innings. Fewer hits allowed than innings pitched, just 16 of them in the 18 2/3. And he has big time stuff, which sometimes leads to walks and a lot of times leads to strikeouts. 12 walks in the 18 2/3. That's probably a little too much, a little too close to 1 per inning, but 28 strikeouts in 18 2/3.
And again, that's been the bugaboo, right? 23 walks by the Stanford bullpen in the 3-game series against Wake Forest last weekend. So that is certainly a factor. Speciak last through on Friday of that series against Wake.
Now batting for your Eagles is number 28.
So he is in, and will face the number 9 batter, Sam McNulty. 2-2 game, bottom of the 5th inning. Stanford and Boston College, game 2 of this 3-game weekend series between the Eagles and the Cardinal. Game 3 scheduled for 1 o'clock tomorrow. McNulty offers, but takes a strike, 93 miles an hour on the fastball, and it's 0-1. Sam bounced out to short, his first time up today. It is now likely a bullpen game, even more than it already has been for Stanford. Speciak fires a strike, and the count is 0-2. I mean, it's a great example, as we talked about, what the ACC tournament is going to look like this year. Slider missed down and away. It's much easier to say this than it is for it to actually happen. But if Stanford can find some arms here out of their bullpen and some of their pitchers who we know have this immense potential. You look at someone like Volchko yesterday, who, was a preseason All-American, who had not pitched great, but was just brilliant yesterday. I mean, that is a scary, wherever they end up seated, near the bottom of the ACC for anyone down in Durham in a couple weeks. Rolled over, foul. Still a 2-strike count on Sam McNulty.
But with some of the statistics that you've mentioned throughout this game, I guess the best way to phrase it might be Stanford's not really concerned about taking leads in games. Stanford's concerned about finishing games with leads.
Up and in, and McNulty gets tied up by a 93-mile-an-hour fastball for strike 3.
I mean, you're right, he got tied up, but that feels like not strong enough of a adjective for what happened here. I mean,
Wow.
That absolutely ate him alive. That had so much run on it that it ended up being closer to hitting him than it was to the strike zone.
So Adam Magpok now with 1 out. He walked and scored his last time. Third baseman Haskins will guard against the bunt potential, but Magpok swings and pops it up. Haskins doesn't see it as he signals, but doesn't matter. It's McDonald's ball. And he makes the catch for out number 2.
We chatted about this yesterday, and it was funny because I heard some people milling about the seats here before the game having the same conversation of you watch some of these Stanford arms throw, and you're just baffled by what the ERAs are.
Right.
I mean, you sit here and you're like, how does a guy who throws 94 with 8 inches of run have a 6 ERA?
And that is in for a strike. And in some of these situations, it's about the walks, as we talk about. But it is not always about that, which is the other piece that, again, just by watching it, becomes kind of surprising.
Yeah, there have been a lot of guys who have, given up a lot of hits, more than one per inning. And it's not what you expect. Usually when you see electric stuff, high ERA, you expect lack of control. That's not really what it is. It has been for the bullpen these last couple weekends, but for the most part, it's just been hits.
Missed tie with the fastball at 94, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Meanwhile, for BC, they got to get the offense going here. They have 5 hits this weekend and almost 14 innings of offense.
The 2 runs they scored came in an inning in this game when they didn't have any hits. There's one. It's Patrick Roach, and he's on with 2 outs.
Roach and the guy who's coming up now, who we highlighted at the start of the show, Josiah Ragsdale, have been so consistent all year. It just feels like no matter what happens, no matter who's thrown on the other side, they're both on base twice every game in some way, shape, or form. And the dichotomy between the two is you have Roach, who's been here forever. You kind of expect it from him. And Ragsdale, who's in his first year at BC, a junior transfer from Iona, so jumping up from the MAC to the ACC. And, he's not hitting 380 like he did last year, but he's hitting 300, and his on-base percentage is over 405. It's pretty good.
OPS just under 900 this year for Ragsdale. And that goes to the backstop. So a wild pitch moves Roach to second. And maybe you see some of it here, right? 2 outs, 2 strikes on Roach, he singles. And then a wild pitch puts him in scoring position, and now Ragsdale with the chance.
Feels like a lot in this game where we've seen an inning that looked like nothing was going to happen, and then all of a sudden there's a 2-out threat going.
Roach with good base running ability at second. A 1-1 pitch to Ragsdale. Stayed outside with a breaking ball. And it's 2-1. Clipped into the mitt.
Got a good rip and a little spinner of a breaking ball.
By the way, new catchers in Luke Lavin, so Charlie Somm did end up leaving this game after trying to stay in for a couple of innings, but out now. Two-two. Missed inside. And it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
This is your don't give in pitch. First base is open. I get it, you have 2 strikes, but this is the best hitter on the other team. If you walk him, you walk him. Don't let him be the one to beat you.
Three balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, and a 2-2 game in the 5th. Pitch. Ground ball to the right side for the second baseman, Nadai, and Speciak strands the runner. So Ragsdale grounds out. Good work by Ryan Speciak out of the bullpen. And Rintaro Sasaki leads off for Stanford when we come back for the 6th. Very solid weekend start for Brady Miller after he went 7 innings without allowing a run against Miami. He comes back with another quality start against Stanford.
Yeah, he was really good today, and there were more base runners than have been on against him his last couple starts, but he was able to work out of trouble time and time again. Final line, 5 innings, 7 hits, 2 runs. really key stat, no walks. And he struck out 4, and now he gives way to another freshman in Gavin Suarez, who's been just really rock solid all year for Todd Interdonato.
Inning in a third against UMass on Tuesday at Fenway Park. Allowed just to hit, no runs and 3 strikeouts. Crucial 2 2/3 at Wake Forest as well a couple of weeks ago. But as you said, it's just been so solid. Just 4 earned runs all season long for Suarez this year in his first season as an Eagle. Someone that BC was really excited about coming into the season and has really done nothing to dissuade them from that opinion with what he's done so far this year.
Yeah, 1.89 ERA is pretty good.
And he will deal with Rintaro Sasaki, who leads off an inning for the 3rd time today. Eagles will shift against the big left-hander in a 2-2 game as we start the 6th inning in Brighton. And Suarez starts with a big breaking ball called a strike. Sasaki, Becerra, and J.J. Moran due for Stanford. In this 6th inning, Sasaki fouls it off on a breaking ball, and it's quickly 0-2.
I'll tell you one thing, and you would think the guy at the plate is a big reason why. There are more gentlemen in polos with clipboards and stopwatches and radar guns here this weekend than we've seen this year.
Fastball up, and it's 1 ball and 2 strikes.
It's a perfect pitch, though. 0-2, fastball that's appealing but not a strike. Just a good take by Sasaki.
Clipped just a piece of it. And again, still 1 ball and 2 strikes on the Stanford freshman. To the right side. Garcia takes it himself, and there's 1 away. That brings up Timo Becerra, who's 0 for 2 today.
Now ready for the Cardinal, number 2, Timo Becerra.
The Eagles, who have dropped their last 4 ACC games, swept by Miami last weekend, but in games that Boston College was either tied or leading in the 8th inning on both Friday and Sunday. Big curveball for strike 1. It's fouled off. It's fascinating how the plan changes. Obviously, Colarusso has mostly been steady as the Friday guy, but the pitchers BC has used this weekend, very different than the ones that they were using in similar spots even 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Check swing, he went. On appeal for strike 3. That curveball looks sharp today from Gavin Suarez, and he has the first 2 outs of the 6th inning.
Just a devastating hook here, and Becerra can't lay off. Yeah, clearly went around. You know, one thing Todd Interdonato says all the time is, you know, offensively, we let the game come to us, and the way the game's going, that dictates our decisions. Well, it's sort of on a larger scale, the way guys have been pitching has dictated their usage, and that's the way it should be. And, you know, the staff has been very flexible with, if a guy's throwing well, he's going to get an opportunity in a bigger spot.
Pumped in again. It's 0-2 quickly on J.J. Moran.
Remember,
Homered his last time, his first career home run.
that was with 2 outs and 2 strikes.
0-2 from Suarez. And it missed down.
It's almost more of a tumbling action on his curveball than what you normally see.
Grounded foul past third. Well, he took a pitch out of the strike zone and just ripped it, a line drive, getting out quickly over the left field fence to tie the game 2-2, where we remain right now. Another curveball fouled off. He's done a nice job continuing to keep the at-bat going.
You talk about short and quick to the ball. That's what that swing was from Moran.
Fastball this time, and Moran again with a 2-out, 2-strike hit. This time the opposite way, and Stanford has a hit in every inning so far.
You want to know why David Esker has been as successful as he has as a head coach? Sometimes you play a hunch and it works. Coming into today, I mean, Moran had barely played all year. Puts him in the lineup. He had less than 20 at-bats this year, and he puts him in, and he goes 2 for 3 with a home run.
And a runner on, and this is Luke Lavin batting for the first time, the sophomore. As we said, came in to catch for Charlie Somm, who was banged up earlier. First pitch home is a breaking ball that missed. 1 ball and no strikes. Lavin, who played a couple of games against Wake Forest, had 2 hits in the series. In fact, started 3 games in a row before the last 2 to start this series. 297 average, 11 starts, 18 games, 11 for 37 at the plate with a home run. Now all of a sudden Suarez trying to refine the strike zone. 3-0 on the left-hand hitting catcher. Inside ball 4. Fastball up and in, and 2 on now with 2 outs. And the entire Boston College infield will come in and talk to the freshman Suarez.
Now you got to deal with, albeit the 9-hitter, a guy who's red hot right now. And Ethan, hot. I promise I didn't do that on purpose.
Oh, he's the one who had 3 hits yesterday. As Stanford trying to break a 2-2 tie here in the 6th inning.
Now back to the Cardinal, number 13, Ethan Hott.
Seems like every pitcher in this game has had some level of a grind in every inning, even though it's only 2-2.
After the first pitch, and Hott pops out to McNulty to end the inning. Stanford strands 2 more base runners. They've left 7 today. Still tied at 2 as we go to the home 6th. Another really high-quality baseball game between Boston College and Stanford. Low scoring yesterday, a 2-0 final with Stanford coming out with a victory. low scoring again today. 2-2 game as we're in the middle of the 6th inning. Gunnar Johnson leading off for Boston College against Ryan Speciak, his 2nd inning out of the bullpen for Stanford. And he misses down and away for ball 1. Cardinal making their 4th trip east in this first ACC season for Stanford. Johnson lines one to center. A chance is trapped by Ethan Hott. So Gunnar Johnson with the leadoff single in the 6th inning. Even that one I think held up longer than it maybe looked off the bat.
Yeah, I'm with you. And normally on days when it's this warm, the ball really carries, which I don't think it has today either.
Yeah, wind blowing in today, which is not the norm here at Harrington Athletics Village, and clearly on a hop there. So Johnson aboard, and it brings up Jack Toomey.
Worth saying, though, how important it is that Hott was able to pick that up clean, because that would have been a major problem if that got by him. That's 3 bases, if not more.
Toomey is 0 for 2 today. And a fastball in for a strike.
It's not like Stanford hadn't come to the East Coast before, but obviously 5 times in a year is different. And baseball and softball, I should say, require more of your time on the road when you make a trip
Toomey hits one hard but foul deep down the left field line.
than any other sport. I mean, you're playing 3 games, and you know, generally you're getting there for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday series, either Wednesday or Thursday. Be really curious after the year to ask David Esker and, you know, people at Cal as well, what's the biggest thing you're going to adjust next year for when you make these trips?
It's likely going to change the non-conference scheduling.
Oh, definitely.
Stanford really didn't travel very far in the non-conference this year, but
You know,
maybe a trip you would have had before you're certainly not going to do.
and you play games against the teams you used to play in your league, like Washington.
David Esker talked before the season about he likes the idea of playing 4-game series early in the season when he can. And especially with the, you know, changing your travel, that may be something that happens even more. Just to limit how much you have to travel.
And for those that might be saying, well, you know, BC's got to go to Cal in a couple weeks.
Yes.
That's one time.
Toomey fouls back a 1-2.
And not that that's not a difficult trip, but for Cal and Stanford, you have to do it half of your conference series, whereas everybody else is likely either going to Stanford or Cal, not both every year.
One, 2. Fastball missed down. So 2 balls and 2 strikes. Still 2 balls and 2 strikes. And a 2-2 game in the bottom of the 6th inning. Runner on first base is Gunnar Johnson for Boston College, and Jack Toomey has fouled off a few in a row. Another 2-strike pitch is out to left. McDonald has the first out.
Now back for your Eagles, number 18, Kyle Wolf.
So Kyle Wolf with the runner on base. Kyle is 0 for 2 today. takes outside for ball one.
You know, another kind of interesting thing with Stanford, we were looking this up this morning. Stanford won less than 30 games last year. And as you see, they're sitting on a 23-19 record this year. The last time Stanford's win total was in the 20s 2 years in a row or worse, but it happened to be in the 20s, was the early 1960s.
Yeah.
Obviously, it speaks to how amazing this program has been for decades, but they're certainly in danger of missing the tournament 2 years in a row. That is something that, you know, does not happen on the farm.
You know, last year lost so many draft picks from the 2023 season.
And maybe the best transfer
Right.
in the country.
And then, but they did return a ton from last year to this year. All but one start. Over 70% of their offense. That's in for a strike, 2-1.
Now the difference this year versus last year is, you know, we're sitting here on May 3rd, and Stanford still has every opportunity to play themselves into the NCAA tournament. They did not really have that opportunity at this stage of the season last year.
2-1 inside, it hit him. So Kyle Wolf is hit by a pitch for the 24th time this year. And looks like David Esker is going to ask to take a look at this. We have seen this before. Kyle Wolf being hit by a pitch and it being reviewed. Now, in a lot of those situations, it's that elbow guard that he wears and, you know, whether he strides in. This one, it actually felt like it was more closer to almost his stomach area.
I think the review here is, did it hit him or not? Not
Certainly not the leaning in, which we've seen before.
Well, on that replay, to me, it's really hard to tell, but I thought I heard double contact.
Yeah, I thought I did too in real time, but I'm not sure we saw it on any of those three replays. It's so hard on these did it hit him, did it not hit him situations to see whether it actually did. This is zoomed in as much as possible, and it actually did it. Maybe it was off the elbow guard, in fact, actually. I think you actually see right there. See how the ball moves direction? So I think that's what it is. It was the elbow guard, and Kyle Wolf is indeed hit by a pitch. So good job by the umpiring crew to get that right. And Wolf gets to first base on a hit by pitch. So as we said, 24 times he's been hit by a pitch, and that's now 52 times for his career. Kyle Wolf has been hit by a pitch. That is the most in Boston College history. And a mound visit here for Stanford now with runners on first and second and one out. Huge spot in this game at the bottom of the sixth inning with Gunnar Johnson, who singled to start this inning. He's on second base, and Kyle Wolf, who's hit by a pitch, now on first. It's felt like we've had a few of these moments where a bunch of runners on base, multiple runners on base, and huge spots for pitchers to try to work their way out of. More so on the Stanford offensive side than the Boston College side, but certainly something that we've seen a lot of jams that pitchers have had to work their way out of.
Yeah, as much as there have not been easy innings, for the most part, every guy's been able to make a pitch when he's really needed to. So you have to be impressed with that.
So now Esteban Garcia, who has certainly been involved in this game. He singled in the second inning, reached on an error on Sasaki at first base in the fourth, and ended up getting caught off of second. First pitch in for a strike, 90 miles an hour, and it's 0-1.
With both pitchers Stanford's used today, they've probably pushed them very slightly past where they normally get pushed.
Breaking ball, he went after it. was waiting and waiting and waiting, and then he finally goes after it, and it's 0-2.
It's a changeup, and it ends up well off the plate.
So 0-2 on Garcia. And the pitch missed down, another breaking ball, and he lays off. So 1 ball and 2 strikes.
But anyway, Huber was able to, get through 4 innings. He got helped by a fly out that turned into a double play on a ball that was hit hard. Can Speciak do the same? Get past his normal point?
Takes in for strike 3. A huge second out of the 6th inning.
Well, to the naked eye, it looked to me like a perfect pitch. And it is.
Yep. You mentioned that run that he has. We saw it in on the hands of McNulty back in the 5th inning. This one breaking back from off the plate to get the corner. First pitch, Cimini right down the line and foul as he turned on one and just turned it over a bit too much. So 0-1 on Vince Cimini. One for 2 today. Hit the ball hard twice. 0-1. Breaking ball up the middle and underneath the dive of Jimmy Neteye into center. Around third base and coming in is Johnson. And Boston College leads 3-2.
It's a hanging breaking ball here from Speciak, and Stanford actually had the shift right.
Yeah, they did.
But Cimini hit it hard, and I think that Neteye almost overdove it.
Yeah, he did. You see that glove kind of collapse against his wrist on the dive. And so it goes into center field. Cimini with his second hit, he spit the ball hard 3 times today. And Boston College has a 3-2 lead. Still 2 runners on base, and Sam McNulty to the plate now. Batting from the right side, Speciak fires. And a slider missed down and away. 1 ball and no strikes.
Obviously that hit by Cimini feels so momentous because it gives BC the lead, but at the end of the day, it's almost like these are the moments that really matter in a game. Can Boston College now create a little separation, or can Stanford keep it at a 1-run game?
Check swing, down.
It's 38 pitches now for Speciak.
Yeah, BC, the last 2 ACC weekends, has really not been able to have that, not even big inning per se, but just, getting a couple of runs here or there. The 2 they scored in the 3rd, of course, were without a hit. It was the ground ball where 2 runs scored because of a, couple of throws that were slightly off target.
They have not been able to create room for error for their pitching staff.
Two 2-1 is high. 3 balls and 1 strike. And a game filled with anxious moments for both pitching staffs. A spin and a look. The count 3-1 on Sam McNulty.
Be really surprised if Speciak is in the game beyond McNulty.
Torin O'Haron throwing. 3-1 is high, and the bases are loaded. First walk out of the bullpen for Speciak. And And the switch hitter, Adam Magpok, comes to the plate with the bases loaded and 2 outs. And it looks like Spesiak is going to get a chance to face Magpok.
Have fun too.
Wolf, Samini, and McNulty, the base runners. Magpok swings and misses for strike 1. A walk and a run scored in the 3rd for Magpok. He is 0 for 2 in the leadoff spot. 0-1, fouled back, and Spesiak is way ahead, 0-2.
Magpok's been a little late on that fastball in the first 2 pitches. Don't be surprised if Spesiak goes right back to elevated heat. Or he can go with that changeup in the dirt and then try the fastball again.
0-2, tried to go off speed. Slipped out of his hand a bit, 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, the unfortunate part about that pitch for him is a low changeup is supposed to reset up the high fastball, but that was, so far outside that it really had no effect on Magpok. It was a take right out of the hand.
So now on a 1-2, and Magpok just gets a piece, so he did go back to that pitch. Much better location. BC has a 3-2 lead on the RBI single by Samini. Looking for more here in the bottom of the 6th inning with the bases loaded. 1-2, struck him out. Big time fastball from Ryan Spesiak to get Magpok and strand the bases loaded in the 6th. But Boston College does get the lead back. Vince Samini up the middle, scores Scudder Johnson. And we go to the 7th, 3-2 BC. Top of the 7th inning, and the Eagles have the lead. 3-2 Boston College up on Stanford. As the 7th inning begins, Gavin Suarez' 2nd inning of work, and he will deal with the top of the Stanford order. Trevor Haskins to start, bunts towards 3rd, and that is a foul ball. So an interesting thought as, you look at Stanford offensively today. They have 8 hits. They have a hit in every turn at bat so far. Have had multiple base runners on in the 2nd, in the 5th, and in the 6th, and have stranded 7. And obviously just the 2 runs on the board. The solo homer by J.J. Moran in the 4th, and the Charlie Somm RBI single to bring in Sasaki back in the 2nd. Suarez fires, and it's clipped foul for strike 2. Oh, 2. Big curveball, and he struck him out. Well, that is the flash of potential that Gavin Suarez has. Gets a fastball by him for strike 2, and then this hook for out number 1.
And remember in that 6th inning, Suarez got the first 2 outs pretty quickly with a strikeout and then kind of lost it for 2 batters, but got the pop out to end the inning. And now he looks locked back in.
The interesting thing and how Todd Interdonato tries to manage the rest of this game, obviously still just the 1-run game, as Court McDonald takes strike 1, is, how long do you stick with Suarez here? Looks pretty good. And, normally the next guy up would be Joey Ryan. And this is fouled off, and it looks like Joey Ryan is indeed starting to get some work into the bullpen. But of course, Ryan has given up some runs here.
Yeah.
The last week or so. Gave up the home run, admittedly as Fenway Park a home run as you could possibly had, but a home run to Daniel Cuvée in the 8th inning last Sunday, and gave up the run to Maine on Wednesday. But Suarez's curveball, my goodness, does it look good. There's 2 outs here in this 7th inning.
Your point about Ryan's well taken, but I think it should more be a point about Suarez.
Yes, for sure.
Because right now, the way he's throwing the ball, I mean, there's no reason to even think about taking him out of this baseball game. If you get guys to swing like that at pitches that far out of the zone, you stay in.
There is strike one to Tatum Marsh. That is strike two.
I mean, he is locked in. He's putting these balls in a thimble where he wants them.
Oh, 2. Struck him out. Gavin Suarez in the 7th inning against 1, 2, and 3 in the Stanford order. Strikeout, strikeout, strikeout. 3-2 BC as we stretch and brighten. So, new pitcher into the game for Stanford in a 3-2 Boston College lead. Torin O'Haron, the third pitcher of the day for the Cardinal. You see his numbers. Last couple outings have been a little bit better. He threw 2 innings against Wake last Friday, 3 innings last Sunday, did not allow a run, and just 1 hit total over those 2 outings. He's had a couple of big outings that have really hurt him, right? 5 runs in an inning against Clemson on April 12th. 5 runs in 2/3 of an inning against Virginia, 3 runs without getting an out against Virginia back in March. But those 3 outings I just mentioned are 13 runs allowed by Torin O'Haron, 13 of the 18 runs he's allowed all year.
Yeah.
So the big outings have hurt, the good outings have been good. Which one will we get today in a 3-2 game here in the bottom of the 7th?
Yeah, it's another high-level arm. I mean, for Stanford, he was on the NCBWA Stopper of the Year watch list prior to the year, so high-octane stuff once again. And David Esker is, seen his team down a run, and he's putting in one of his better arms here late in the game, thinking, okay, I can make up this deficit with 6 outs to work with still.
And he has to do it against the middle of the Boston College order, starting with Patrick Roach, the 2-hitter today. Patrick singled his last time in the 5th inning. Also hit by a pitch today and a run scored. O'Haron fires, and it's lined into right field. Marsh towards the line. It hangs up as he slides and makes the catch. So 1 away here in the 7th.
On the other side, if this game remains 3-2, so if O'Haron puts up a 0 here in the 7th, it's really a fascinating choice for Todd Interdonato to make, because, I mean, that inning Suarez just had might have been the best inning anybody's thrown all year. But Joey Ryan's been your guy all year and for a couple years in his career. I think the way he's walking around.
Missed outside, 1 ball and no strikes.
It's too tough to tell because he does have his gloves. So he's either done and ready, or they said hold up till the inning starts.
One ball and 1 strike. For a strike, 93 miles an hour on the fastball from Torin O'Haron, and it's 1-2. Swing and a miss, went off speed, and he gets Ragsdale 2 away in the 7th.
Yeah, that was the changeup after those 2 straight fastballs, and Ragsdale well out in front. Really good one. Falls right off the table, and it looks like a strike for 55 feet, and then it's in a spot you can't touch it.
Connor Johnson started the 6th inning with a single and ends up scoring the run to put Boston College ahead. Also has 2 RBIs in this game in a 3-2. Boston College lead. That is outside, and it's 2-0. Swing and a miss. Good fastball at 93, and it's 2 balls and 1 strike.
Just explodes out of his hand. Johnson was swinging for the downs, almost lost his balance.
Fastball fouled off, and it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Breaking ball stayed high. Didn't really have that snap down. So it's a full count with 2 outs in the bottom of the 7th inning. O'Haron against Johnson with Boston College up 3-2. Pitch went back to the breaking ball and it missed well out. So Johnson walks. 2-out base runner for Boston College here in the 7th inning. So we have played into the 7th inning here. Stanford had a base runner and a hit in every inning until that last one, literally an immaculate inning from Gavin Suarez. And then for Boston College at the plate, they've had not officially a base runner safely because Garcia reached on an error in the 4th inning, got to second on a wild pitch, but a base runner in every inning. So as we talked about, these pitchers have had to work. It's not been easy.
There's been one,
1
2,
ball and
3
no
inning.
strikes.
1, 1, 2, 3 inning.
One-0. Missed high. And it's 2 balls and no strikes.
You know, I find it kind of fascinating, the head coaching matchup between these two teams with David Esker and Todd Interdonato, because they've both done something that's pretty unique in this sport.
2-0 is off the outside. Boy, he got that call. The last batter with Johnson. Here it was too far out, and it's 3-0.
But both guys, let's look at that last pitch again. Yeah, it's off. But
inside, ball 4. Back-to-back walks. That one on 4 pitches. And there's where the walks obviously start to become a significant factor. 1st and 2nd, still with 2 outs. And Kyle Wolf will come to the plate.
But anyway, both these head coaches spent more than a decade and a half at their prior school. Now, Esker's a little bit of a caveat on it because he played at Stanford, so going from Cal to Stanford was an easier decision, but
Right down the
he's
street as well.
Right, but he's, won almost 800 games, and if Todd Interdonato and BC win this game, he gets to 500, but this is the kind of sport where if you're somewhere for 15 years and things are going well, which they were for both guys, you don't really leave. But they both did. Obviously, this is a big jump up from Wofford to the ACC, and for David Esker, he was going back home, but it's just kind of unusual to see guys have very long tenures at multiple schools.
Now back up your Eagles, number 18, Kyle Wolf.
So Kyle Wolf with 2 runners on base. The Eagles, remember, also loaded the bases in the 6th inning, also with 2 outs. They could not add to the 1 run they scored. Now Wolf lines one down the left field line. It is fair! Wolf sends one to the corner. Johnson scores. Toomey right behind him. That's a 2-run double for Kyle Wolf. 2 massive insurance runs makes it 5-2.
How about Kyle Wolf? A guy who was not in the lineup yesterday, had been struggling, and he comes up with just a huge hit here for Boston College. And I love the approach, right? Because O'Haron had lost the strike zone. He had walked Johnson and then 4 straight balls to walk Toomey. And after a mound visit, Wolf goes up there and says he's desperate to throw a strike. He's going to throw me a fastball right down the middle. That's what he threw, and Wolf was ready for it.
He takes advantage for 2 RBIs, makes it 5-2, and a runner still in scoring position, and now Garcia fouls it off. And that's a spot where, you know, if BC doesn't score there and you start to look back at this game, that would have been 5 base runners left between the 6th and the 7th inning. But here the Eagles take advantage of it, and that's the extra run support that you were talking about that Boston College had not had the last couple of games. The small, at least, margin for error for their pitching staff. Garcia might add to it. Dunks it into right. Wolf stumbles around third, but it was bobbled by Marsh in the outfield. So Wolf scores, and it's 6-2. If Wolf doesn't, or first I guess I should say, if Marsh doesn't bobble that ball in right, with Wolf stumbling around third base, he has a real shot to get him at the plate, but they both kind of have that hesitation, and Wolf ends up coming in.
Yeah, those two things probably cancel each other out,
Yeah.
right? But big hit by Garcia. And now, I think Todd Interdonato wants a timeout. The other thing that the insurance runs do, I mean, obviously you're thrilled to be up 4, right? It also allows you to ride Suarez a little more.
Yep.
You don't need to go to Joey Ryan right now. And who knows, you know, if Suarez gets you 3 more outs, then maybe you just ask Joey Ryan for 1 more inning, and then he's pretty fresh tomorrow too. So, a lot of reasons why these 4 runs are really important. Well, I guess 3 runs in the inning, but a 4-run lead.
Yep. 6-2 game now. And again, those 2 walks prove crucial. 2 2-out walks. You just can't have it. And that's what ends up allowing Wolf to double and Garcia to single. And, you know, we talked all day. What has Stanford's bugaboo been? The bullpen, and specifically last week, 23 walks by the bullpen against Wake Forest. Well, 2 crucial ones here in the 7th. Vince Samiti, the batter now after the conference, swings to the first pitch and fouls it back into the netting for strike 1. Samini had the RBI hit in the 6th inning that brought home Johnson to give Boston College the lead. And now a breaking ball stays out, and a snap throw behind the runner is blocked by Sasaki. One. Slider down and away. It did not get that far away from Luke Lavin. So it's 2-1.
Boy, those first 2 batters that O'Haron faced, he was money. Looked great.
Yep.
And then 4 in a row, he's just kind of lost it. Walk, double, single.
Kind of a microcosm of the whole season for the Stanford Cardinal. Popped up to the right side. Second baseman Jimmy Nadai calls and makes the catch to end the inning. But not before Boston College puts 3 runs on the board with 2 outs. Wolf doubles, Garcia singles, and BC extends the lead to 6-2 as we go to the 8th. Esteban Garcia, and the Boston College Eagles have a 6-2 lead over Stanford as we go to the 8th inning, and it is indeed Gavin Suarez after throwing an immaculate inning. 9 pitches, 3 strikeouts in the 7th, and he starts the 8th inning with Jimmy Nattai. So this is his 3rd inning of work. 4 strikeouts for Suarez out of the bullpen so far. And Nattai, who's 0 for 3 today.
I said that in the last half inning that Suarez's 7th might have been the best inning anybody's thrown this year. I think I want to change it to it was definitely the best inning anyone's thrown this year.
Would be hard to be better. Here's the 0-1, swing and a miss.
So now we're up to 11 in a row?
Yep. Most of those, most of the 7th inning, it was the curveball on strike 3. There, it was the curveball on strike 2. Ryan is ready should he be needed, but it's Gavin Suarez right now, who's got another 12 consecutive strikes and 5 strikeouts out of the bullpen.
I mean, it's a curveball, but it's almost like it's moving in to the right-hand hitters. And we have seen in these last 4 batters, a couple Stanford hitters swinging pitches that, are really not even close.
Now Rintaro Sasaki, who doubled in the 2nd inning, 1 for 3 today. And that one thrown to the backstop. So, a rare ball.
What's wrong with him?
One ball and no strikes. And the pitch popped up. Number 3 are on the right side of the infield, so McMulty backpedaling. Magpok in, can't make the catch. Kind of into no man's land, but it did hit Magpok's glove, who had to come a long way in. Now, the one part of that is the wind is pushing in from right field, but that, McNulty stays home for this exact reason, right? He's the shortstop, and he starts over his left shoulder, and then it turns back right. Magpok coming all the way in, and a little bit of adventure to get there, but one certainly that the Eagles likely want to have back.
Look, every coach will tell you that it's the outfielder's ball because he's coming in and you're going out as the shortstop. So that's the rule of thumb. However, in that specific case, even though McNulty had to flip around the shoulders he was running over, he was under it, and he had it. And you could see he kind of started to put his right hand out like I got it to Magpok, who must have called it. But I think McNulty was well enough camped under it that should have been his play.
And now inside, 1 ball and 1 strike. So it goes down as an E7. And Timo Becerra comes to the plate with 1 out and a runner on first base, trying to spark some life into this Stanford offense. That's down. 2 balls and a strike. Sasaki off first, and the pitch is swung on in line to center. Ragsdale chasing it back towards the warning track. Ragsdale tracks it down. And a big second out. Sasaki back to first, and 2 away for J.J. Moran.
Man, he was pretty cool about that, wasn't he? Just kind of put that glove up at the last second. I mean, this is well hit by Becerra. And Ragsdale on the dead sprint over his right shoulder and just...
Yep, no problem.
Pretty good out there.
Talk about his offense a lot, but one of the reasons he was brought in for plays like that as well. J.J. Moran now swings through strike 1.
One of the signs of a good pitcher, right, is can you get guys to swing a lot of pitches out of the zone, and Stanford's chasing all over the place against Gavin Suarez.
0-1. Big breaking ball for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Third time this year he's gone 2 2/3. Has never gone 3 innings.
Moran, remember, with 2 strikes and 2 outs, homered in the 4th inning with 2 strikes and 2 outs, singled in the 6th inning. Suarez trying to finish out an excellent outing out of the bullpen. Oh, 2. Got him. Froze him with a fastball. Gavin Suarez, 6 strikeouts in 3 shutout innings out of the bullpen. What a job. College has opened this game up. It was tied 2-2 until the 6th inning when Vince Cimini gets that ball through to score Gunnar Johnson and give the Eagles a 3-2 lead. And then in the 7th, Boston College Kyle Wolf with a double that stays fair down the left field line and brings in 2, and then Garcia follows it up with a single to right. A 3-run 7th inning, and now a 6-2 lead for the Eagles. As we go to the bottom of the 8th inning, Boston College trying to square this weekend series with Stanford.
And just as big as, that hit by Cimini was in the 6th, to give BC the lead were the 3 runs in the 7th. So give a little padding and maybe take a little pressure off Suarez, but he has been unbelievable out of the bullpen in his 3 scoreless innings of work. I would think he's probably done, but we'll see as Liam Golden takes over for Stanford, freshman from Sacramento, making just his 2nd appearance of the season.
Through last weekend against Wake Forest.
Now back your Eagles, number 28, Sam McNulty.
He's the top 25 ranked pitcher in the state of California, according to Perfect Game. 6'4", 200 pounds, as he deals with the number 9 hitter, Sam McNulty, for Boston College in a 6-2 game here in the home 8th inning. And that is ball 1.
I wonder how many pitchers there are in the state of California on Perfect Games rankings.
Probably a few.
As you would expect, if you're a BC fan watching this game, so maybe not super familiar with the Stanford program. Tons of guys from California and the West Coast, but Scott, who was supposed to start this game, is actually from Connecticut, so would have been a bit of a homecoming for him.
There's some folks in attendance. Scott, who was, as you said, scheduled to start this game, was scratched just minutes before the game was scheduled to begin, throwing in the bullpen. And so an emergency start by Ty Huber, who, to his credit, did a really great job keeping Stanford in it. Missed outside, no swing, so 2-2. But once again, it's been the bullpen that has kind of let them down a bit.
Initially, it was their defense that let them down in the 3rd, and then the bullpen after that.
2-2, swing and a miss, good changeup. And McNulty is down on strikes, 1 away in the 8th.
I'll tell you what, I mean, it was downright hot for the majority of this game. Another look at that really good changeup from Golden. But there were some reports of potential thunderstorms in the area for late this afternoon, and it has cooled off and gotten windy and cloudy real quick here.
Yeah, Yeah, the good news is for the most part, those storms are to the north of us. Looking at the radar right now as Magpok skies one down the left field line and foul. There's probably more risk of storm closer to 6 o'clock or so-ish. The rest of it looks to be staying north, but just something to think about. But what it does do is when storms even start to come this direction, even if they're not coming directly here, because they're usually coming from the west, it sometimes will change the wind. When the wind is blowing in, it will start to push the wind going out here at Harrington Athletics Village. So that is something to watch over the next couple of outs in this game. 0-2 to Magpok, and it's outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Magpok walked and scored a run in the 3rd inning. Those key runs, I mean, they'll kind of get forgotten now if the game continues to go this way and ends at 6-2 or whatever the case may be, as he strikes out here, 2 away in the 8th. But remember, Boston College's first 2 runs in this game, Magpok walked, Roach was hit by a pitch, Ragsdale sacrificed them to 2nd and 3rd with 1 out, and Gunnar Johnson hit a ground ball to 3rd base. The throw from Trevor Haskins pulled Sasaki off the bag, and Roach, hustling from 2nd, came around and beat then the throw home. So they scored 2 runs, which at the time they had a 2-1 lead. Eventually was part of a 2-2 tie until the 6th inning. Roach now from the right side, and he takes outside for ball 1.
Interesting decision for the 9th inning here for Boston College, because the bullpen is dormant. So I would actually lead you to believe it's going to be Suarez going back out.
I guess the one question would be, was Ryan kind of up too much to not bring in at some point? So, I mean, he would obviously be ready, but he is certainly not throwing at the moment.
There he is. I mean, as soon as, it's still only a 4-run game, so if Suarez goes back out there and there's a base runner quickly, Ryan will get right back up.
Yep. 1-1, that's just a bit outside.
I think with somebody like Joey Ryan, who's been a high leverage late inning reliever for as long as he has here at BC, you're kind of less worried about those up downs because he's just used to it. You know, sometimes you got to get ready real quick because a blowout becomes a close game, and sometimes 3-2 becomes 6-2 and they don't need you anymore.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Patrick Roach. Swing and a miss for strike 3. How about Liam Golden? Strikes out the side in the 8th inning. BC will try to win it, and it's Suarez. Well, Gavin Suarez has been absolutely fantastic. 6 strikeouts over 3 innings out of the bullpen, just 1 hit, just a couple of base runners, no runs allowed. And it's pretty hard to argue with the decision to let him try to finish this game up 6-2 as we go to the top of the 9th.
No doubt about it. The only argument is that this is already his longest outing of the season, but there's been no dip in how effective he's been. And with a 4-run lead, you have the luxury of giving him 1 base runner, 2 base runners, 3 base runners. Ryan's ready in the bullpen. So it's kind of dealer's choice if you're Todd Interdonato right now, but he's going to ride the hot hand.
It is 8-9-1 in the Stanford order due up, starting with Luke Lavin, who came in after Charlie Somm was injured earlier in this game and banged up. And he takes strike 1. Lavin walked his first time up against Suarez in the 6th inning. Freshman fires on an 0-1 at a breaking ball, is into right, twisting towards the line. It is foul. Kind of hung up enough.
I think hung up is the operative term. That felt like it was in the air for about 5 minutes. See that win that we were talking about last inning? Not as prevalent as at the moment.
Oh, 2. Big breaking ball swung on and missed. Lavin reached for it, but it's 7 strikeouts out of the bullpen for Gavin Suarez.
And the odd thing, and this kind of goes to what we were talking about last inning, about how this curveball has kind of odd movement on it, almost away from a lefty into a righty, is that you're seeing late swings on breaking balls, which means the hitters are really confused about where the ball's going.
Ethan Hott, 0 for 3 today after a 3-hit night yesterday, and he takes ball 1 outside.
How about this outing by Suarez after what we saw yesterday from Aiden Keenan out of the bullpen, who struck out 7 over 3 innings.
This is out to right. Toomey tracking it back. He's there, and there's 2 away.
First ball hit really hard that we've seen against Suarez, but good play by Toomey in the gap. And Boston College is like they seemingly have been most weekends this year, and out away on Saturday from setting up a rubber game on Sunday.
Yeah, this is certainly not the first time we've seen an Eagles team play really well, not just lose Friday, but play really well on Friday and lose. And then, to their credit, bounce back on Saturday. Didn't see it last weekend, but yes, against Wake. That's lined into right field. That's going to get down for a late hit here by Trevor Haskins. He's aboard at first base with 2 outs. We saw it against Pitt in a doubleheader. We saw it against Notre Dame in a doubleheader. And now here's Court McDonald. So you do have to be wary here. This is the 2nd time through for the middle of the order against Suarez. The heart of the order. McDonald, the number 2 hitter, who's 2 for 4 today. But the Eagles, of course, just 1 out away from squaring up this series. Big breaking ball hit foul. Trying to see some more early swings for Stanford against Suarez, because when you get to 2 strikes, it's so difficult to pick up that breaking ball. 0-1. Breaking ball on the ground to the right side. Garcia to a backhand. Flips underhand to Suarez. And the Eagles have tied the series. What a job by Gavin Suarez. 4 shutout innings out of the BC bullpen to give Todd Interdonato his 500th career win. And BC and Stanford with a tie series going to Sunday.
Yeah, well, first of all, congratulations to Todd Interdonato on that 500th win, but there's a lot of good stuff for BC today, Eric. And the 2 main things that stand out to me are the insurance runs that they, at times this year, have not been able to come up with to make, games a little more secure. And I don't know about you, but I could have watched Gavin Suarez pitch for another hour. That was outstanding for the freshman.
He was great. He was absolutely great. Boston College has some pitchers that they have found here going right at the end of the year, and it translates finally into a big win here on this Saturday as the Eagles beat the Cardinal by a final score of 6-2. And let's not forget Brady Miller as well, who was very good once again in his starting role for Boston College. Only 2 relievers. Suarez did an excellent job. Yesterday, the Eagles throw a few more, but only 4 pitches for Kwiatkowski, 15 pitches for so they have options tomorrow. We don't know who's going to start yet either way. We will let you know soon. A 1 o'clock start tomorrow in the rubber game of this series between Stanford and BC. Appreciate you joining us today, folks. For Justin Galanti, Josh Demers, our producer, and the entire crew in Brighton. Eric Galanti saying so long from Harrington Athletics Village. BC a winner 6-2 here on Saturday afternoon. To watch this entire game on replay, as well as other games on our family of ESPN networks, download the ESPN app. Thanks for watching this presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports.